Let's start at the top. There are two things that control the quality of your relationship above everything else, and they're both controlled by you. See, the biggest challenge in relationship, you saw it, for example, yesterday with Joey and his lady, is him thinking he can't succeed, so he doesn't even want to go there, doesn't even want to discuss it, which of course then makes her feel a lack of connection, a lack of presence. So many people don't feel like they can win, whether it's the woman or the man in a relationship. And whether it's a heterosexual relationship or a gay relationship doesn't matter. Love is love, regardless of someone's belief structures. We have to understand what the dynamics are of any relationship. So the two dynamics, well, first thing is I want you to get is write down one word, Y-O-U, you, or you can write it this way, me. You are in control of where this relationship goes. Again, if you remember last night when I was talking to the two of them, I was letting her know, listen, I'm going to talk to him too, but you can change it by yourself, because if I change myself, you will change as well. If I do the same thing I've always done, you'll do the same things. If we're not getting what we want, we're in a pattern. We need to break that pattern. So the place you want to look for 100% responsibility is the only place to be alive and free. That does not mean you have to stay with someone forever who does not support or love or share your values or is selfish and doesn't care. But before you make that giant jump, we got to start with ourselves. And here are the two forces that control every relationship for the rest of your life. Come back to these two. And that is state and meaning. All relationships are controlled by these two things. The emotional state you're in is the state of your relationship. I'm going to say that again. The emotional state you live in, your emotional home, is where your relationship's going to be. You're going to get to that place sooner or later. If you get an emotional home, the place you're used to going to is feeling pissed off and frustrated or bored. You will find that in a relationship just like you'll find it by yourself. If your core emotion is gratitude and joy, you're going to find that even more in your relationship. It'll be magnified because that's what relationships do. If you're both in a shitty place, you'll get worse together. If you're both in a beautiful place, you'll make each other better. In fact, maybe one of the greatest gifts in a relationship is when you see it's a place to go give, not a place to go get. Because if you start with, I'm here to give, you're never empty. Most people go to a relationship to get, and they have expectations of what that getting looks like, and when it doesn't show up that way, they get upset. So again, you saw that last night with Joe and his lady when she had her expectations of how she wanted him to connect with her, regardless of what he believed or thought or felt, right? And then she was disappointed. We said something the other day, and I've said it multiple times. If you want to change your life, you do it in one moment. It's the same way to change a relationship. Trade your expectations for the state of appreciation, appreciating whatever you have, and the relationship will grow. But if you're expecting things, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to start to put stickies, things that get in the way, labels on your partner that make you respond to your meanings instead of to your partner. So think of it this way. Let's start with state. By the way, your state affects the meaning you come up with. When you're in a great state, the meaning of what your partner says or does is beautiful. If you're in a shitty state, doesn't even have to do with them. You're going to come up with a negative meaning, and then the negative meaning will affect your state. If you're in a great state, you come up with great meanings make you feel even better state. So it's like a turbocharger. Either it's a virtuous cycle where you're in a great state and that comes up with great meanings and you go deeper and deeper in the relationship, or you're in a lousy state, you come up with lousy meanings and the relationship gets worse and worse. There's no plateaus in a relationship. It's either growing or dying, like everything else in life. And so the bottom line is our job, if it's not growing, is to wake it up and to find that the person that's in front of us, even if they weren't, quote, your perfect person forever, they're there for a reason. The challenges you face with them is a call for you to grow and to find a part of yourself you've disowned. Remember we talked about this a couple days ago? It's like, do you ever fall in love with somebody and you love something about them? They're so passionate, they're so outgoing, they take charge, whatever. And now, a few years later, they do the same thing they did that you used to enjoy. Now, do they always have to talk so loud? Do they always have to take charge? Why do they always have to do that? The reason you were attracted originally is not just because they're attractive. You're attracted because it's a part of you you've disowned. And so you like in other people what is already in you that you don't recognize. And when you get together with them, the goal is that you love them so much, you start to appreciate what you've disowned and you start to embody it. If you don't grow and embody it, you'll grow to resent the very thing you originally loved. Who's ever done this before? Who's ever had something you loved about somebody and it became something that was really annoying after a period of time? Raise your hand if you've had that experience. Say I. Say I. So the state of your relationship, the state of the union between the two of you is shaped by your state. And if you can own that, you can make any relationship beautiful. And then you can decide if this is the long-term forever relationship or it's a relationship where you're both going to learn and grow and see where it goes. But the state is it. So let me give you an example. Let's say we have two people who completely, totally love and adore each other. No bullshit. And they both are in beautiful states. They've taken care of their mind, their body, their heart. Even if hell's going on, they've just decided to stay in a beautiful state. They're in this high energy, beautiful state, and they love each other completely. What kind of relationship with two people love each other completely who are in peak loving states all the time? What kind of relationship are they going to have? Okay, shitty, good, magnificent. What do you guys say? Clearly, magnificent, right? On the other hand, we have two people that love each other just as much as we described. They love and adore each other, but instead of being in this peak state, they've let life get to them a bit. And they're not in a bad state, but they're not in a great state. They're kind of like, okay, pretty good. If they love each other just as much, but they're in a pretty good state, a lot of stresses, things around them, is it going to be the same level of relationship, yes or no? Hell no. Even though they love each other just as much. And then you know where this is going. What if you get two people who love each other completely, adore each other, but they're not in a great high energy state. They're not even in an okay state. Now they're in a burnt out, frustrated state. Might not even have to do with each other. Might just be, grandma, the aunts, the uncles. It might be financial stress in the business. It might be the kids are sick. It might be stuck in COVID. There could be so many things that are stressing. And if you don't keep yourself in a beautiful state, you're going to get to okay. And eventually you're going to get to frustration or overwhelm or stress or pissed off. And now you're not mad at each other, but is it the same relationship? Yes or no? Show me, guys. Yes or no? Same relationship? Yes or no? No. Not in a million years. Because your state determines the quality of the relationship. I'll tell you, there's two danger zones. When you're both low, and as Sage and I get there, we recognize it and go, honey, let's get some blood sugar. Let me go jump in the jacuzzi or the pool. Let me do something. Let's change our physical bodies, our states, because we're both in such a low state. Or let's get a good night's sleep. Or let's do something, because from down here, that's the danger zone. The other danger zone is one person's in a peak state, and the other person has nothing to do with them, is in a shitty state. You may have worked your ass off to get in a good state. There have been so many frustrations, disappointments, your business, COVID, whatever. And you manage to finally find something to be in a great state about, and you come home to be their partner, and they're in a shitty state. What happens there shapes your destiny of your relationship a lot, just like when you're both in a lousy state. Because what's happening here is this person might try to get them in a good state, but if they don't come, they might get frustrated. Like, we finally could be in a good place. Why aren't you in a good place? And they get frustrated. And that makes this person feel not understood, not heard, not felt. And pretty soon it's going to pull this other person down. When you're in this combination, if you're in the upward combination, you got to feel your partner. You got to connect with a partner, not be frustrated they're not where you are. And you can gradually bring them up, but you got to connect. So both in a lousy state, one up, one down, are where the challenges show up. Now, what is it, though, that makes it so hard to navigate this? Well, the biggest reason is we think the other person is a version of ourselves, and they're not. Men and women are not the same. All women are not the same. All men are not the same. And within that species, male portion or female portion, we have brains that function radically differently. This is a fact. It isn't a social conditioning. Women have, as I told you the other day, this diffused awareness where the right and left hemispheres of the brain have a deep connection right down the center of the brain. That's why you can say something to a woman, her feelings get hurt. Say it to a guy, it's a little harder, because the man takes the left brain, words, and he doesn't connect it necessarily to the right brain, emotions a lot of times. So you can say something to a guy, guys are trained, screw you. It's like a game. But you say screw you to a woman, her heart, her feelings can get hurt. Because remember when I told you about 9/11? You know where you were, you see where you were, you remember the experience? You remember it, you don't remember 8/11 because 9/11 had so much emotion. Well, the feminine species connects emotion to words, and so they have greater power. to change the way they feel quicker. It's also why women sometimes are frustrated with men. He's not expressing how he's feeling because he isn't feeling right now. He's thinking. And sometimes he doesn't want to think. And she'll say, what are you thinking? He says nothing. And she goes, that's not possible because he's thinking a million thoughts. But men love to go to their cave and not think. They love to turn on TV and not think, have sports and not think. It's a way to like escape. Whereas women want to expand those feelings. They want to share them. Men are trying to shrink those feelings. So I said 2 things control your relationship. Let's remember them. Your state. How many of you have ever been in such a beautiful state that every bit around you is lifted up? Who's ever been in such a gorgeous state? You can see it lifted. Your kids, your family, your friends. Say I. Try it right now. Make the sound of you in that beautiful state where you just are just gorgeous to be around. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. By the way, when you're dating someone, when you're on the hunt, you're usually trying to turn them into your raving fan. Here's good for you business people, right? And how do you do that? If you know business, what makes you successful with your client is you know what they want, what they need, what they fear. You know so much about them. If you're a great business person, you fall in love with your client and you try to do everything to surpass their desires, to surpass what they want or need, to over-deliver. And if you do that consistently, you become a welcome supplier. They want more of you. Well, how do you do that? You